Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Eccentric Mind Podcast with your host, George Hernandez. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Let's get straight into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of being articulate and four simple ways that I managed to do it myself to become articulate. What is the importance of becoming articulate, and why is it a skill that we need to build upon throughout our time in the modern world? Well, it's quite easy. The world doesn't reward noise, it rewards clarity. In the real world, what gets you attention, purpose, or significance is providing value up front. The world doesn't give the incompetent value without it first seeing that you're worth that value. If you're some recluse, if you're somebody who isn't capable of finishing their own sentences when they start, nobody's going to pay attention to you. Nobody's going to listen to you because you are not somebody that's worth listening to, and there is no inherent sort of reward that comes from listening to you. So the importance of being articulate is because there's no better way to show your competence than by being articulate. And if we were to define competence, it's the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. And now, if we were to define articulate would mean to express oneself fluently and coherently, meaning you can speak about the things in your head in a concise, fluent, and cohesive manner. So, like I mentioned, if you're stumbling on your words using fillers in each sentence, guess what? Nobody is going to listen to you. Aside from your appearance being the first indicator of judgment, what comes out of your mouth next is the decider on whether you're going to be paid attention to, get scrolled past, or skipped. Because honestly, I've met a lot of people who were in really good shape themselves, but the moment that they started speaking, it was just the decider that, okay, I'm not going to pay attention to this dude. You can't just be someone who looks nice to look at. You have to have something meaningful to say or something valuable to provide that's tangible, lest you'll get paid attention to, you'll get scrolled past, or you'll get skipped. Now, we all specifically start from somewhere. However, most don't realize that being articulate is actually a skill that you can refine, such as playing a guitar, playing a flute, or playing a banjo. It's actually something that we can improve upon day in and day out. The way that I like to think about it is you have a bow and an arrow, and when you bring the arrow back and you shoot it, it hits its specific target. Now, if you hit that same exact target again and again and again, the hole from being penetrated over and over again is going to get deeper. That's the way that I like to perceive articulation and communication. The more that you do it, which we do it every single day, everyone speaks, the more that you improve upon it. But it has to be intentional. Now, we all start from a specific standpoint. So, me, myself, I couldn't finish an idea. I couldn't finish a sentence without using without using, you know what I mean? Without using, I'm trying to think of what else I used to say. Anyway, I used to quit mid-sentences. I couldn't finish the ideas that I had. And I couldn't stop using filler words. But over time, from doing things, which I'm about to share with you, 4 ways to improve upon it, I've managed to become semi-decent at communicating. And these are the ways. So, precision, conciseness, and cohesiveness is what's rewarded. But we have unfortunately cooked our attention span to the level of a goldfish. But this is also important because it means we know how to judge whether something is entertaining or not. And the reason most don't find you entertaining to listen to is because most people talk the way that they think. Disorder. When I first started communicating in a way, I thought I had to speak up, speak fast, and speak well. It was this idea that, okay, the way people are going to listen to me is if I speak as fast as possible and I get my message across as fast as possible, therefore I'll be good. We have this assumption. However, the sentences, the verbiage that we use is just this regurgitated mess of anxiety-driven communication. Though the intention is well-meaning, the outcome is garbage because in the process you look less prepared, and less professional. In order to get your message across, you don't have to speak up, speak fast, and speak well, but you have to speak from a space where you don't sound messy, impulsive, and anxious, which is grounds for someone to stop paying attention to you because it shows loudly how unstructured you are. So being articulate is a great importance because it shows you think in a world that has inhibited their thinking. Being articulate is not having the best vocabulary, the sharpest tone, or fancy words, but being able to express yourself clearly, fluently, without hesitation or struggle. The people that do speak best aren't messy, impulsive, or trying to say what they want to as fast as they could. They pause, they listen, and they process because they know the importance of each and every single word. The best speakers have thought greatly about what they say before they say it. And the worst ones are the ones who are trying to fill up space. The importance of being articulate is it separates you from everyone else. Because when you speak from a place of clarity, people trust you, they listen to you, they remember you. Not only that, they feel you. The world doesn't reward noise. It rewards clarity. And that's what I want for you to take from this podcast episode. Being articulate turns you into a lethal weapon. So let's get into it. So, the first tip, read books. I'm telling you, when I first started reading myself, I was this kid lost in sea. But upon reading a quote like, "Every action you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become," that's James Clear's Atomic Habits, it shifted and bent my reality. Because here is this tiny iceberg of information that I just gained. And yet, from that simple sentence alone, I learned about the rest of the iceberg beneath the level of water. It just blew and captivated me in a way that this is what I know. This is what I just learned. Just imagine how much more I can learn. It completely humbled me. Also, the act in and of itself of reading is a good use of your time because you can be using your time in a way that's inhibiting your brain, such as entertainment, shiny bright colors, social media, messages, porn, all of these other things. In a way, when you decide to read a book, you're actually opposing to what you can be using your time with and filling it with something much more valuable because you read someone's pain, you read someone's discoveries, you read someone's thought. But most importantly, you realize how vast the human mind is and how small yours is in comparison. It's in that moment you're humbled by what you truly don't know and just how much there is to know. In borrowing someone else's eyes, you expand your own. And that's literally what reading is. You remove your own eyes, you remove your own sense of self, and you become captivated and immersed inside of this tiny little literature, this tiny little book. For a second, you borrow someone else's eyes. And I think that's such a beautiful perspective to pertain because articulation begins in the expansion of your perception, broadening the horizon for what was once known and slashing it up like Fruit Ninja with the unknown. People cling to their adolescent experiences as absolute truth, never questioning, never evolving, just carrying out their domesticated philosophies with them like baggage they have no awareness of, only for true potential to change or understand begins to die. Reading is a protest from staying the same because the act of reading is a calling for more while an act of self-restraint from today's distractions. At any moment, you can distract yourself because everything is at the palm of your hand. And choosing to read is protesting to the contrary because it is such an act of self-restraint and self-discipline that act in and of itself will help you grow. But upon learning, reading other perspectives, gaining new insights, you also refine and become a much better individual as well. that's not even everything about it too, because it's not just the self-restraint, the self-discipline of what you can do, but it's also the insights, the perceptions, the eyes that you put on. At the same time, I heard Andrew Huberman talk about it. We use a form of motor acts. So that means body's moving, hand reaching for the lens. Pretty much hands, legs can move in the way that I want them to. We actually use a form of motor skills or motor acts upon reading, because when we're reading, we're also slightly speaking aloud in our head, in our thoughts of the things that we're reading. So that helps us be able to elaborate, to communicate in a way verbally to other people, because we originally read that piece too. Not only that, but it improves upon your vocabulary. You understand where to take pauses. You understand punctuation furthermore because of how often you read. But also, you start to find other people who are dealing with the same sort of shared existence. And in having that, you have a more reinforced sense of living and a reassuredness to be the way that you are, because somebody else has also lived that reality as well. So TLDR, reading is entertainment. Reading can be a distraction. But reading words on a piece of paper from someone's lens of life is far better than being incapable of letting go of a screen that you feel addicted to. Reading isn't solely about knowing yourself, but to sit quietly and understand how your inner voice sounds like. Because once you can sing a tune alone at the privacy of your own company and have a laugh is the moment you've made it. And in having that type of intimacy, that kind of joyful mood by your own presence, that's the indicator if you've got someone comfortable sharing the hardest of thoughts concisely, firmly, in front of anyone. Because they've already told it to themselves before anyone else. They've read it before anyone else. They've written it before anyone else. Read books. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, journal your thoughts. My camera is dying, so apologies. It's going to be on the second side if that happens. And I will pause and go immediately and get my other battery that's charging right now. So just a heads up. I could already hear some people, oh, this dude's got a diary. Yeah, bro, I got 8. Probably 9 now. Actually, I probably got 10. I also have another. Bro, I got so many journals and so many diaries that I have literally bled inside of. I have literally bled inside of those journals. And the amount of writing that I've had just in front of a piece of paper with some headphones on or pure silence outside have made and refined George into who I am. And notice the word that I use there, refined. The diary is literally a symbol of keeping the hinges on you in real time. A diary is about fully understanding yourself while having a grip on who you are. Because there is no more intimate sense of identity or connection with you than being inside of the room. What do I mean by that? I have this analogy that home is the most intimate space that we can be in. And if home is the most intimate space we can be in, well, if we were to fraction that out, if we were to zoom in a little bit more, what is a fraction of that space that is even more like home than home? It would be your room, right? We love our room. We spend the most time in our rooms. We sleep in our rooms. It's a very sacred, sanctuous sort of place. But what about if you zoom in a little bit deeper? What's your room inside of your room? It's your head. It's your mind. And if everything is going on in here, we need to spend the most amount of time in here. Because we already do. But if we have evidence of what it's like to be in here on a piece of paper, we can then be more reassured in who we are in that moment. And speaking the words that you've thought of, speaking the hard feelings that you have no idea how to comprehend, but trying your best to get them onto a piece of paper refines you. Not only is it a form of therapy to truthfully express the innermost aspects of your soul and state of heart at that time, but it's rehearsing for articulation. Articulation is not just good vocabulary, good diction, good tone of voice. Articulation is to express oneself fluently and coherently, meaning you can speak about the things in your head in a concise, fluent, and cohesive manner. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't just have words come up in your head. You have thoughts, you have feelings, you have things that you don't understand. Your ability to grip them and be able to show them to somebody else in a manner, that is articulation. Because sometimes thoughts are hard to comprehend, and sometimes it takes a long time for you to comprehend them. But the better that you get at being able to whisk away your thoughts and being able to put them into a hinged, concise, thoughtful, meaningful way to understand for somebody else, the more that you stand out, because it shows you've done the inner work where nobody else would even think about doing that type of inner work. Journal your thoughts to rehearse for articulation. When you meet yourself on paper first and you can express onto a piece of paper the hard thoughts, emotions, or current season you face and can vomit onto a piece of paper, you're setting yourself up in real time to declutter your mind, but also put in the neural reps that reinforces your confidence to be able to get those same thoughts out into the real world, but in a more concise, thoughtful, and meaningful way. People don't listen to you, but they listen to someone who can express themselves in a manner that's controlled. And if you were to define articulate, it would be to express oneself fluently and coherently. Journaling is solely a way to practice what will be said in real life, whenever the case may arise. Prepare before you speak. Yeah, this is just a tangent I'm about to go on, or like a story. I've seen a lot of speakers in my day. Very fortunate to have seen a lot of really good speakers. Fortunate to have seen some moderate speakers, and fortunate enough to be able to see some bad speakers. A lot of people, the bad speakers, as I've come to see, are the ones that don't prepare before they speak. The bad speakers, as I've noticed, are the ones that will show up and say, you know what, I got it. They have the confidence in themselves, but the moment that they present themselves to 12, 15, 30, 55 people is the moment that they break. And everything that comes out of their mouth is just this regurgitated nonsense that doesn't strike home for their audience. They paid no attention to their audience because they were so lazy in their confidence that they portrayed a lack of structure and a lack of preparation. And in doing so, they bombed. They bombed on stage. Preparation is the most important thing that you can possibly do before you speak. When I come up to the podcast episode, I'm doing 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more, maybe less, of just preparing the things that I want to say in the way that I want to say it. I'm not coming off the top of my dome as I once did, even though I can do that, but not as much because I prefer to prepare prior to. I have this little story where I was at work doing a presentation for a position that I wasn't involved in, a language that I'm not proficient at, which is Spanish, at the start of a week, knowing I only had 1 day to practice before my weekend. So I practiced on my own with a sheet in front of me and repeated phrases where I was stuck trying to recall it for a majority of my shift because I cared. Where I know nobody else was likely putting in the amount of effort I was putting into that presentation that honestly didn't matter. And I could have done well at it had I just showed up on Monday and done the job anyway. But I put in effort into it prior. So that slight preparation made me go from good to what I think great. It's not hard to be exceptional. It just takes effort most aren't willing to do. And preparation is one of those things. So prepare. Now, this is just another story in some ways. I did 425 video logs straight. 425 video logs straight. I have over 500 voice memos inside of my phone right now. 500. Some of them 5 minutes, some of them 2 minutes, some of them 15 minutes, some of them 45 minutes, some of them 50 minutes long. That's not me trying to be arrogant in any way, but it takes work. It takes work. I have just about to hit 10,000 reps on my camera in totality. It takes reps upon reps upon reps. You do not improve upon something unless you do it repeatedly, intentionally, over and over again. David Phelps didn't become the best swimmer because he was tall, long, and lengthy. David Phelps became the best swimmer because he just put in the most reps. Tiger Woods isn't the best golfer ever because his stature or he is the most talented. Tiger Woods is the best because he was 2 years old beating grown men at golf. He started extremely young and put in the reps. Just like you, if you want to improve, if you want to become articulate, you need to practice the things that you're saying. If you're journaling, if you're reading, great. Now start putting those things into practice. Get yourself in front of a camera and start speaking. No, you don't have to show it to anyone else. But what you should do is look at them with no sound to understand, how do you move? Is it awkward? Is it funny looking? Understand. Watch yourself with no sound. Watch yourself with sound. And follow your cadence. What are some things that you're good at? What are your troubleshoots? What are some things you can improve upon? And then actively work towards that in order to be comfortable on camera. Because if you're comfortable at looking at a lens eye, you become much more comfortable to look at a human eye as well. To be articulate isn't born confident, but being built by repetition. Owning your voice as opposed to speaking some words. True practice creates ownership of an authentic voice. Confident speaking without practice is a voice that is loud with no sustenance to hold on to attention. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. This has been the Eccentric Mind Podcast with George Hernandez. I really hope you got something from this episode today. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. God bless you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.